When I was reading the source for today, this narrative called Gunner's Call, the mission of Ocean Jewels, one thing just, I couldn't get past it.
What was that?
The sheer contrast, the physical contrast of this woman's life. It feels, it feels impossible. It's like she's living on two completely different planets.
It really does. You're talking about the split between what? The North Sea and the Norwegian fjords.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But help me paint this picture for everyone listening. Because when I think North Sea, honestly, I just think cold. But the reality for Julie Elfstad, who we're talking about, it's so much more intense than just, needing a sweater.
Yeah.
What does that actually look like?
So imagine the most hostile industrial environment you can. The North Sea it's notorious. It's gray, it's violent, and it is unbelievably loud.
Right.
We are talking massive waves crashing against steel, engines that are roaring 24/7, wind just howling. It's a sensory assault. And Julie isn't just like watching this from a window. She is in the absolute thick of it.
On a supply boat,
Yep.
servicing the oil platform.
Exactly.
Okay, and that's the first thing I wanted to flag. Because in my head, offshore work is all kind of the same thing.
Yes.
You're on a rig, you make good money, you go home. But the sources make a huge deal about the fact she's on a supply boat, not a platform. Is there really a difference? Or is that just jargon?
Oh, it's a massive difference. It's the difference between working in a skyscraper and working in a delivery truck during an earthquake.
Yeah, that does not sound fun.
The platforms are fixed. They are, secured to the seabed. They're stable.
Okay.
The supply boats, they are completely at the mercy of the water. They're constantly moving, rolling, pitching. And the schedule. I mean, that's the real kicker.
Oh, no.
Platform workers, they usually get a rotation of 2 weeks on, 4 weeks off. It's a heavy work, heavy rest cycle, but it's balanced.
Which sounds tough, but, I could see that being doable. 2 weeks of hard work for a whole month off, I might take that deal.
Right. But that is not Julie's deal. Because she's on the boat, her rotation is 1 month on, 1 month off.
Wait. She's on a boat for 30 days straight?
30 days. 12-hour shifts. Every single day. No weekends, no holidays. And you can't leave work. You sleep there. You eat there. If the sea is angry, you feel it when you're trying to sleep. The source material uses the word trapped, and it's not being metaphorical at all.
That feels claustrophobic just thinking about it.
Yeah.
So you have this month of grinding, noisy, industrial chaos. And then the calendar flips, she gets off the boat, goes home to Norway, and this is where the whiplash happens.
Exactly. She goes from that industrial hellscape to the silence of a fjord. She's a diver. So she trades the gray, churning water for this crystal clear, freezing, silent underwater world.
It's so interesting because you'd think after a month at sea, she'd want to be as far from the ocean as possible.
Right.
Like go to the mountains, go to a desert. Why on earth would you go back in the water?
I think that's the paradox of her life. The ocean is her jailer when she's on that boat, but it becomes her healer when she's free. On the boat, the ocean is a threat. It's something to be survived. In the fjord, it's a sanctuary. It's about reclaiming that relationship.
And that reclamation, that brings us right to the heart of this story. We have to talk about the jellyfish.
We do. We have to talk about Gunnar.
Gunnar. Okay, now I have to be the skeptic here for just a second.
Go for it.
When I read that she had a life-altering conversation with a jellyfish, my eyes rolled back a little bit. It's a jellyfish. It doesn't have a brain. It's mostly water. How much communicating is really happening here?
That is a completely fair reaction. And if you're looking at it purely scientifically, you are 100% right. Jellyfish don't have a central nervous system. They don't have a self in the way we'd understand it. But we have to look at this through the lens of human psychology and the concept of being seen.
Okay, walk me through that.
So Julie is diving. It's silent. She's just hovering in the water. And she sees this jellyfish. She names him Gunnar. That's step one, right? Anthropomorphism.
Yeah.
We give things names to build a bridge to them.
Sure.
But then the interaction shifts. She describes Gunnar as stopping, pausing.
Which jellyfish don't really do, right? They just kind of drift.
They drift, they pulse. But in her perception, he oriented himself toward her. And she says specifically, he knew I was watching. She felt perceived.
That's the part that gets me. We are always the observers. We go to the zoo to watch the animals. We watch documentaries. We're the main characters. To feel like the wildlife is watching you, that just flips the entire script.
It completely dismantles the hierarchy. Usually we look at nature like it's a screensaver. It's just there for our amusement. But when you feel like a creature, even a really simple one, is acknowledging your presence, you suddenly feel like a guest in their house. Julie says she started crying inside her dive mask.
Which is such a visceral image. Crying underwater, salt water inside salt water.
It's a moment of total vulnerability. And in that emotional opening, she received what she felt was a message, not words, obviously, but a directive, an intuitive download.
And make the ocean clean again.
Exactly. And I think it's important that she didn't interpret this as, hey, you should pick up that wrapper. She interpreted it as a calling, a mission. The source says this was the death of industrial Julie and the birth of Ocean Jules.
So she has this epiphany. She has her mission, but now she actually has to do something. And this is where the story moves from a nice, spiritual moment to actual hard labor. Because her version of cleaning the ocean isn't just signing a petition online.
No, it's grueling. She calls it Havlogin, the ocean log. It sounds like data collection, and I guess it is, but it's also this physical ritual. She dives, and she literally hunts for trash. Ghost nets, fishing lines, plastic bottles, wrappers.
And diving is not easy to begin with. You have all the gear, buoyancy control, adding the task of dragging garbage bags to the surface.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a workout.
It is, but what struck me most in the research wasn't the physical effort. It was the mental state she's in while she's doing it. She's not patting herself on the back. She's not thinking, look at me, I'm a hero. She's thinking, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that quote hit me hard. She says she apologizes to the ocean. Sorry, I'm human. Sorry we did this.
It's so heavy, it transforms the whole cleanup into an act of penance.
Penance is exactly the right word. It feels almost religious. Like she's trying to pay off some kind of debt.
A debt she didn't personally incur, but one she inherited. It's collective guilt. She works in the oil industry, right?
Right.
She is part of the machine that is putting pressure on these ecosystems. So when she's down there picking up a wrapper that some tourist threw, she is physically trying to heal the damage caused by her own species. It's a way of saying to Gunnar and to the ocean, I'm not like them, or at least I'm trying not to be.
It's a powerful coping mechanism for the guilt of modern life.
Yeah.
But here's the problem, and the source material is really honest about this. She can't stay in the fjord forever. The month ends. The money runs out. She has to go back to the supply boat, back to the noise.
And that transition has to be brutal. To go from that spiritual connection right back to the 12-hour shifts, this is where we see the golden handcuffs really tighten.
Explain that term for us, golden handcuffs. We hear it in corporate jobs all the time. But how does it apply here?
It's the trap of high wages. The pay for offshore work is incredible. It lets her live a certain way to afford the diving gear, the travel, the home in Norway. But to keep that life, she has to submit to the soul-crushing work. She's trapped. She can't afford to quit, but the work is eating her alive.
So how does she survive 30 days at sea without losing her mind? Because she can't dive. She can't see Gunnar. She's surrounded by steel.
She's developed this brilliant psychological survival tool. She calls it Club Ocean.
Which sounds like a beach resort, but it's actually an app on her phone.
It's a collection of tracking apps, basically. You know how researchers tag animals to study migration?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of those apps let the public follow them. So Julie has adopted a specific set of marine animals that she checks on every single day while she's on the boat.
It's like a digital Tamagotchi, but they're real.
In a way, yeah, but the psychological function is much deeper. It's about object permanence. When she is stuck in that gray industrial world, it's easy to forget that the wild, colorful world even still exists. By tracking these animals, she has proof. Okay, I'm stuck here, but they are out there, swimming free.
Who's in her club? Who is she tracking?
She have a fascinating lineup. First, there's Shadow, a tiger shark off the coast of Florida.
A tiger shark. That's a pretty intense choice for a friend.
She calls him her protector. I think she draws strength from his apex predator status. He's out there surviving, hunting, owning his space.
Okay.
Then there's Aria, a gray whale near Hawaii. Julie calls her the wisdom keeper. Whales just have that ancient, slow energy.
And seeing Aria moving thousands of miles,
Yeah.
that must give her some perspective.
Exactly. And the last one is Neva, an orca in South America. Neva represents her wild spirit.
So she's sitting in her bunk, she's exhausted, maybe the boat is rocking in a storm, and she just opens her phone. She sees a little blip on a map near Florida, a blip near Hawaii, and that helps.
It's a lifeline. Psychologists talk about parasocial relationships, usually with celebrities, where you feel close to someone who doesn't even know you exist.
Right.
Julie has formed these parasocial relationships with wild animals, but unlike a celebrity, these animals represent her freedom. They are her avatars. She projects herself onto them. I can't swim to Hawaii right now, but Aria is doing it for me.
It anchors her identity.
Yeah.
It reminds her, I'm not just a supply boat worker. I'm Ocean Jules. I have friends in the sea.
Precisely. It keeps the mission alive when her environment is trying to kill it.
But, and there's always a but, tracking a shark on an iPhone is not the same as actually being free. And Julie knows this. The sources talk about her exit strategy. She doesn't want to work on these boats forever.
No, she knows the clock is ticking. You can only work 12-hour shifts in the North Sea for so long before your body or your spirit breaks. So she's building a business called Freedom by Jules.
Okay, what exactly is Freedom by Jules? Is she selling seashells? Is she a consultant? The sorts were a little vague.
They are a little vague on the granular details, yeah. But if we look at the context of her mission, Make the Ocean Clean Again, we can make some educated guesses. It seems to be a brand built around her conservation lifestyle. So likely content creation, maybe ecotourism, or educational workshops down the line.
So the goal is to monetize the mission.
The goal is to monetize freedom. It's an economic equation. Right now, she trades her time for money on the boat. She wants to trade her value, her story, her cleaning work, her advocacy for money instead.
That's a hard pivot. To go from a guaranteed, high-paying industrial paycheck to the shaky world of entrepreneurship.
It's terrifying. But here's the fascinating philosophical point she makes. She says the ocean doesn't need more people who just care.
That sounds counterintuitive. I thought caring was the first step.
It is the first step, but she argues it's often the only step people take. You can care about the ocean while you drive your SUV to your office job. You can care while you buy single-use plastics. Caring is passive. It costs you nothing.
And she's saying the ocean requires a cost.
She's saying the ocean needs people who act. And action requires sacrifice. For her, the sacrifice is huge. She's willing to overhaul her entire career, risk her financial stability, and change her life's trajectory, all to keep a promise she made to a jellyfish.
That distinction between caring and acting, that's really where the rubber meets the road. It's easy to post a picture of a turtle on Instagram. It's hard to spend your weekends dragging wet trash out of a freezing fjord.
And it's even harder to quit a high-paying job because it aligns with your values. That's the hero's journey part of this. She isn't some billionaire. She's a worker. She has bills. The stakes for her are real. If Freedom by Jules fails, she's back on the boat.
Or she loses her house.
Exactly. So when she dives down and cleans the seabed, it's not a hobby. It's a desperate, beautiful attempt to earn her way out of that industrial trap and into a life where she can be Ocean Jules full-time.
It really makes you rethink the concept of a calling. We tend to romanticize it. Oh, she found her calling, how nice for her. But a calling is actually kind of a burden, isn't it? It demands things from you.
It does. A true calling is inconvenient. It disrupts your comfort. Gunnar didn't just say hi, he said, change your life. And the scary part is, she listened.
I keep going back to that moment of contact, the silence, the eye contact, if you can even call it that. It contrasts so sharply with the noise of her daily life. Do you think she would have heard that call if she wasn't so desperate to escape the noise?
That's a really profound question. I think the contrast is key. If she worked in a quiet library, maybe the silence of the fjord wouldn't have felt so sacred. But because she spends half her life in this roaring mechanical hell, the silence of the ocean feels like divinity. She was primed to listen. She was desperate to be seen by something that wasn't a boss or a machine.
It's almost like the North Sea battered her into a shape where she could fit into the fjord's ecosystem.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Suffering often opens us up to connection.
So we've tracked Julie from the deck of a supply boat through the Golden Handcuffs, down into the freezing water with Gunnar, and now onto her journey toward freedom. It's a lot to process.
It is. It's a story about the price of integrity.
And that's where I want to leave our listeners today. We talked about Club Ocean and how Julie tracks her animals, her shark, her whale, because they represent the freedom she wants.
Her avatars of the wild.
Right. So here's the question for you. What is your shark? What's the thing you are tracking? Maybe it's a dream, a hobby, a different life that keeps you going when you're stuck in your own version of the supply boat.
And to take it a step further, echoing Julie's philosophy, you probably care about that dream. But are you just caring, or are you acting?
Oof, that's the scary one. Julie is willing to suffer 12-hour shifts and risk her financial future for her shark. What are you willing to suffer for?
If nature looked you in the eye today, would you be ready to answer?
Something to think about next time you're staring at the ocean, or just staring at your phone. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us. See you next time.